Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ronald Joseph Lin. It is October 4th, 2020, and you are now watching Real Talk with Ronnie. Here on our show, we only engage in real talk, real news, in real time. This week, the US and the world as a whole was hit with the mother of all October surprises. President Trump and the First Lady both tested positive for COVID-19. Yes, that's right. The President of the United States, the most powerful man in the world, has the coronavirus. Let's let that sink in for a minute. Personally, when I first read this news on my feed, I was in shock and I immediately became worried for the president's well-being. After all, he is 74 years old and is of the age group that is most susceptible to complications from COVID-19. This development also made it crystal clear that this virus is real, it's aggressive, and it gives no preferential treatment. If the most powerful and guarded man in the world can fall ill to this virus, then literally no one is safe. So please keep up with the social distancing, wear your masks, and just be vigilant. This virus is still out there, and we need to come together as a nation to defeat this wretched plague once and for all. However, it is heartening to see that even some of the president's most harshest critics and haters have offered their prayers and rallied around him. I mean, I'm not so sure how genuine they are, but at least most are showing decency during this difficult time. I, for one, will continue to pray for the president that both him and the First Lady make speedy recoveries. In fact, there has been promising news today. President Trump's doctors at Walter Reed Hospital have stated that if the president's condition continues to improve, that he can be discharged as early as tomorrow, which is Monday. As you all know, the president checked into Walter Reed over the weekend, where he reportedly experienced a fever on Friday. In any case, here on Real Talk, we are ecstatic and encouraged to hear that the president is improving. Regardless of your political views and or thoughts about the man, he is our president. Here in our country, we have one president, and he is the guy who represents us around the world. Now is the time for unity, not division. As Americans, we need to put down our differences and pray for our leader. I will continue to do so, and I encourage all of you to do the same. On our show tonight, we once again welcome Mike Reyes to discuss the political state of affairs as we are literally a month away from the election. These are tense times, and we certainly have a lot to discuss. With that being said, let's get to it. Good evening, everybody. So here on our show tonight, we have once again Mike Reyes. It's October 4th, 2020, and we are literally a month away from the election, and we're very happy to catch up with Mike Reyes once again. So Mike, where are you right now?
Detroit, Michigan.
Detroit, Michigan, Motor City. So what have you been doing, or what have you been up to the past month? I think the last time we caught up was, I believe, about a month ago. So from then until now, what have you been up to?
The last time we talked, I was in New Hampshire, if I remember correctly, and
Okay.
then went from New Hampshire to Texas for a few weeks,
All
and
right.
now we're in Detroit. I arrived in Detroit like 4 days ago, so it's been just like a tour of those three states.
Okay. And where are you headed after Detroit?
Oh no, we're here until election day, and then on
Okay.
the day after, I'm gonna go back to New York City.
Okay. So the internal polling in Michigan right now, how is it voting for President Trump?
I personally can't say scientifically speaking the trend for the whole state, but we're knocking on Republican doors. No, at least voters that voted in a primary or general election in the past like 3 years as a registered Republican.
Okay. So you've been
But I
knocking
can
on a
say
lot of
that,
doors.
but one thing I can say is that we're getting a lot of energy, positive energy from the people that are voting. Like a lot of people are voting for Trump. That's all.
Okay. Well, that's good to
in
know.
my opinion.
Good. Okay. So that means that all your hard work so far has not gone in vain, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. So, Mike, we certainly have a lot to discuss, and I actually wrote down a few talking points or like a few topics that I wanted to discuss today. First off, the first presidential debate was last week.
Yep.
What are your thoughts, or what were your thoughts on the debate?
When I saw the when I saw it the first time, like kind of live, we were at a campaign event, so
Right.
you couldn't really hear it, but it looked really bad, and it almost looked like President Trump was interrupting, like Biden, like without provocation. But when I watched it the second time, and I noticed even from the beginning, Biden's avoiding the first question that was asked by Chris Wallace. It was, "Will you practice Supreme Court?"
All right.
When Trump was pushing him to answer, and Biden said, "Shut up," it was well warranted, and I think that showed the direction of the debate. From there on, it just began being so bad that Chris Wallace, the moderator, even started helping out Biden.
Right. Well, that was one of the trending topics on Twitter. In fact, there was a hashtag that was trending, and I believe it was Fire Chris Wallace. I mean, these are a few of my takeaways from the debate. My first takeaway was the fact that, yeah, it seemed very blatant that Chris Wallace was assisting Biden throughout the debate. I mean, there were many times in which, yeah, when Trump was interrupting Biden and Chris Wallace would cut in, right? But then there are equally as many times when Biden was interrupting Trump but Wallace stayed silent. So I thought that was a little bit of a bias there.
I mean,
Well,
definitely,
what
it was
did you think?
definitely it was
Yeah,
definitely very biased, but I think that Chris Wallace is trying to stay relevant, and he knows that Biden is ailing, so he's trying to. I don't know, because Trump does have a strong personality, and he's asking the questions that, frankly, Chris Wallace wasn't putting Biden on. So I think that, like, yeah, it was just really, it was a shit show.
yeah, but I mean, Chris Wallace was the moderator, and I think as a moderator, it was, it's his job to moderate, not to pick which side he thinks he needs to help, right?
Definitely
Um,
agree with you, but the thing is
yeah,
that, like, he wants Fox News is a business as well, and they want to be relevant in the future Democratic, the future presidential debates. So if he seems to be too strong against an ailing Biden, like that's not good for Chris Wallace's career.
right. But at the same time, I think, in order to stay relevant, does that mean that you have to be, so blatantly for the other party and anti-Trump? Because I think that's what he was doing.
I agree with you 100%, but
Right.
I'm just saying that
Yeah. Okay.
uh,
Well,
the Republicans will always be okay with Fox News, right? No matter what.
yeah. I mean, I personally, yeah. I mean, I've watched Chris Wallace's show like a few times. I never really knew him to be like an anti-Trump sort of personality. But on this debate, it sort of came out that perhaps he's a closet Democrat.
It's possible,
Yeah.
but I think that I know a little bit about Wallace, and he is pretty, he's in the middle and stuff like that. But like I said before, like the Republican Party will always be okay with Fox News hosting presidential debate. They have to make sure the Democratic Party is not scared off for the future,
Right.
so they
Well,
can
I mean,
agree, right?
I just think it's kind of sad because I mean, Fox News, yeah, it typically kind of skews more towards the GOP party, but if this is what we got from Fox News, then imagine what we're gonna get in the next two debates. In fact, in the second debate, the moderator was an intern for Biden. So I mean, I don't expect that to be fair one bit.
Definitely, but it actually helps Trump anyway because the polls from C-SPAN online and Telemundo,
All right.
the
Yeah,
Hispanic
the
Spanish
Telemundo
network channel.
polls.
Yeah, they both had Trump destroying Biden because, like he said, I'm Latino, as you know. So, like he said, Latinos we are really strong emotional people. So that the way that Trump was able to push Biden's button to the point where he told him to shut up, called him a
All right.
clown, you know,
Well, that's another
that
thing.
really
I
showed
thought that was
all the way up
that was
there.
disrespectful of the vice president to tell a sitting president to shut up during a presidential debate.
And to call him a
And
clown.
yeah, and to call him a clown and a racist. I mean, would you imagine
Well,
what the
they've been doing
media
that for the
would
past four
say?
years.
Yeah, I mean, if the media, I mean, if President Trump were to call or were to tell someone to shut up on the debate stage, I think the media will be having a field day.
Trump kept his cool in the sense that he was just Trump being Trump. There was no
Yeah,
audience. He knew how to come out strong and push him in questions that frustrate him because he told him to shut up because he was frustrated because Biden was trying not to answer the question. Trump kept pushing him, and
yeah. I mean,
it
first,
worked. That worked to Trump's favor because it showed
right.
that Biden cannot keep his cool. We can't keep his cool on the debate stage. I was gonna keep his cool with the Chinese Communist Party
Well,
right
the
now at
question
this point of his life.
Trump was trying to get Biden to answer was whether or not he would be for packing the court if he was elected
Yep.
president. And of course, he did not answer, right? And I believe his answer was like, it doesn't matter what my answer is because my answer would be the issue, right? So he
Yeah,
tried to deflect. But I mean, if you want to be a
and
leader,
then he did it. And he did that same exact thing the following day at a news conference. They asked him three separate times, and he was just saying, "Oh, it's just a distraction for Trump." It's BS.
yeah, I mean, if you want to be the leader of the free world, the most powerful man in the world, you ought to be able to answer a few questions. Okay, and
And the point of the debate is to compare compare and contrast the candidates. If you don't
right,
answer, then how are we going to know what you stand for?
yeah, and also the question about Hunter Biden. I mean, Hunter Biden did receive millions of dollars from Russia and from other countries, and when pressed upon this, Joe Biden said that it was debunked. But my question is, who was it debunked by? The DNC, and Chris Wallace failed to press Biden
Yeah,
on this question also.
definitely. It was really bad because Trump was basically asking him, saying saying all these things, and Biden was just saying that's not true, that's not true, that's not true, that's a lie. Like he looked so weak. He was just looking at his paper, and he just looked bad. People want
Yeah,
an alpha to
but
be
I
commander
will
in chief,
say
not
this.
somebody that's barely alive.
Yeah, but I will say this: Biden did a lot better than I thought he would. So I think
He
he
did.
exceeded a lot of expectations. So I think for the Biden camp, they had a good night that night too.
Um, Actually, I think that because we have three debates, because we have a different bar now for the
Right.
second, third debate.
Yeah.
It's not gonna work in their favor. So long term, and in one debate, if it was only one debate, yes, but
Right.
because it's three debates, that's out
That.
of the
Yep.
way.
That's true. Yeah, because since he did relatively well in the first debate, he needs to keep up with that same performance for the second and third. Right. So
And
if
his
he were,
pupils, I don't know if you know, but his pupils are like they were like bigger, and I think he was on something on a
well,
drug.
Trump says that he's on something. Well, that's why Trump wanted to have a drug test. Right.
And Biden said no.
Yeah.
And before, I mean, the 3 hours before the debate as well. I don't know if you saw this, but um, Biden's campaign was telling the Fox News that they wanted breaks every 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So I guess they were just like, screw it, we're not gonna get anything. Let's just use some drug on him and push him out there.
Right. Yeah, I think a regular person, like an able-bodied person, should be able to not go to the bathroom for an hour and a half, right? I think that's pretty standard. But then again, Biden is up there in age, and maybe his capacity down there to is not as good as it used to be.
I mean, I just think that they knew I think they were surprised that he did better, even with drugs, to do that
Right.
much better. Something's happening, or he's a liar and he was on the whole time. Either way, you
Well, I
can't trust the
mean,
guy.
there were many pressing questions in which he just said it's not true or it's been debunked. And I mean, if you're going to answer questions like that, then you're not really answering questions. Then you might as well be lying.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, he really didn't do better than expected. He just didn't fucking die. I'm sorry for swearing, but he just didn't die. He just didn't die,
Right.
and like that's basically you said he was just a cadaver, just saying it's not true. I'm not gonna answer that. Go vote. I'm not gonna answer that. Go vote. How is that a good performance?
No, personally speaking, I was expecting him to just completely get steamrolled by Trump, which he kind of did, but he held his own. Like he really did.
I mean, what else are you gonna do? Run away? Stop it in the middle of the thing? You have no choice.
Yeah. And another thing that I wanted to point out, I'm not sure if it was just me, but I will go out and say this that, Trump didn't really look well during that debate. Like he looked like he was a little bit off. And I kind of think that maybe at that point he was already, he had COVID-19 then? He
I,
didn't know it then.
I don't because they test him. They tested him right before. They test
Oh,
him
really?
like yeah. They test President Trump like 10 times a day. Anybody that
Okay.
gets close to him gets tested too.
Right.
Um, but Trump was fine. He was just he goes. Look at this last State of the Union address. Right, it was very mellow, very calm. He was selling a certain persona. Like he was pretty fired up. He wasn't. I don't think you felt he looked ill or anything, but he was
Yeah.
being Trump.
Okay. And now on to the next topic, which is, of course, the shocking news about President Trump and the First Lady, how they contracted COVID-19. And this is especially difficult now because we're so close to, election time. With only 1 month away, this severely hampers the president's his ability to go out and campaign. Do you
Well,
think
I mean,
having COVID,
it puts them at.
right? But do you think it helps him or hurts him in the long run to have
I think it.
contracted this disease?
I think it helps him because he's seen as somebody that's out there fighting,
Right,
COVID. Because he could have just locked up in the White House, right,
right.
for the next like month and a half or 2 months. But he went out there as a leader, and he basically said, "Listen, this is a risk that I had to take to work for you, for the American people."
I think when this news broke, I'm sure a lot of Democrats were ecstatic and jumping for joy. In fact, there were some Democrats, and I think there was this lady who I think used to work for Hillary who tweeted that she hopes he dies. Right, so a lot of Democrats are ecstatic. But, though there are some, I mean, most Democrats are decent and they have prayed and sent the president, their fondest wishes, right? But there are some out there who are just mean and just wishing the worst.
Yeah.
But I do think that in the long run, this actually might be a blessing in disguise because it gives the president this aura of like empathy, right? Like people
Yes.
will feel for
Donations are
the
coming in like
president,
crazy
right?
now.
And of course, now he can actually speak and he can say that, hey, I had COVID, right? I have COVID. I know what it's like to have this virus, so I'm right there with you guys. Yeah,
Yeah, he's in the front lines himself.
right. So I think this. I mean, this is. I mean, no one wants to get this virus, but if anyone can profit or can make it into or can spin it into something good, I think it might be Trump.
Yes.
Yeah, and of course, there's news today that if he continues to improve, then he will be discharged from the hospital as early as tomorrow, which is
Yeah, but
Monday.
you know that today he was so hyped up that he went out in the
Yeah,
car. You
yeah, he
saw he
wanted
gave
to give a little surprise visit to all his
supporters of the
the
hospital.
supporters who were outside, praying for him, and I thought that was pretty cool. But I just hope that in doing that, he doesn't he doesn't strain himself out more. Okay, the next VP debate is next week, right? I
Yes, it
believe
is.
it's when on Wednesday or Thursday?
Wednesday.
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 And it is between Kamala Harris, Senator from California, versus Mike Pence. What are your thoughts on that?
She's gonna come out strong, and Mike Pence is gonna be very mellow.
Right.
So, I mean, at the end of the day, this isn't gonna change anything because the states that are conservative are gonna. If the vice presidential nominee has an influence, Mike Pence is from the Midwest.
Right.
Yes, he can attract a lot of those Midwestern votes. Kamala Harris, she's not. She's hated in the Midwest. Her values. She's the most liberal senator in the U.S. Senate. Her values are way too leftist. So California, like, if they consider, you know, for the VP nominee rather, like, it might work for her, like, just to secure it. But I mean, it's not going to change with anything mathematically. The VP debate. It'll
Right.
just be some good side theater.
Yeah, and honestly speaking, I don't think at this point anyone's going to care about this VP debate because of the fact that Trump with this virus has kind of overshadowed every single thing. So
People will watch it. People will watch it, but I mean,
yeah,
because by he'll be fine by then. He's fine. You see him on TV and stuff. He could
yeah. I
probably
mean,
still debate right now if he wanted to.
yeah. I mean, Pence is pretty measured. He's pretty collected, and he's pretty cool under pressure. And Kamala Harris, I mean,
She's very emotional. She's a very emotional woman.
yeah, I mean, she's pretty feisty.
Yeah, she's gonna be feisty, and it's gonna appear almost
Right.
like she won because she's gonna be a strong personality. But Mike Pence, again, I don't see Idaho voting for Kamala Harris,
Yeah.
or
Yeah,
Iowa
like
or something like that.
I don't see someone from like Alabama saying, "Oh my gosh, Kamala Harris really turned in a great performance. I'm gonna switch my vote and vote for
Especially
Biden
with her
Harris."
past coming out, she slept with a top guy in the Democratic Party in California, right? And he
Well,
gave her all these positions.
Willie
That
Brown.
doesn't work well in the Midwest.
When Willie Brown was mayor of San Francisco, and I think we covered this last time too. When he was mayor, Kamala Harris, I think at that point was maybe like a assistant DA, but I think yeah, that's when this tryst happened. And of course, at that point, he was married, so she was the other woman, right? And I guess she didn't have any qualms about that then. So, but it helped her,
It,
right?
it helps her like in the again California and New York,
All right.
but that's not gonna help. That's not gonna help her in places that Pence is they look at Pence as the moral guy because Pence wouldn't even go into a room
Right.
a meeting with another woman without his wife being present.
Yeah. So
If
I mean,
Willie
Pence
Brown
is.
was like that, she would never we wouldn't know who she is.
Yeah. Okay. And lastly, another big news that I mean, it was sort of the big news until it got overshadowed was the death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the the Supreme Court
Yes,
Justice, also known as
yes,
RBG. Right? She's developed like this cult following, and I actually met her once. She came to my law school a few years ago, and she's a sweet lady, and rest in peace. But the big news prior to Trump getting COVID was the death of Ruth Bader Ginsburg and whether or not Trump should appoint the next Supreme Court justice. And of course, we all know that Trump did. He decided to appoint Amy Coney Barrett, right? And
she's still going through trials in the
yeah,
Congress
I mean,
technically. They haven't voted confirmed yet.
and it seemed like she was on a pretty clear and smooth path towards confirmation until Trump got the virus. And now I
Yes.
believe there are 3 GOP senators with the virus too. So I think that might maybe put her nomination or put her confirmation in jeopardy a little bit. I mean, it all depends. If more GOP senators
It shouldn't because
get the
they can
virus,
proxy vote.
right,
Yeah, they can proxy vote. They can do everything online,
right,
Zoom calls. Yeah,
yeah,
it's
but
not gonna
let's
really
see.
change anything. Like
Yeah,
the
but I mean,
protocol is still the same.
yeah, I mean, prior to Trump getting the virus, it seemed like she would get confirmed fairly soon and fairly quickly, despite the whining and rantings by the Democratic Party. But I mean, I think in light of the recent COVID crisis with Trump, I think this kind of gives Democrats a little bit of a hope that maybe something might happen that would stop her from getting confirmed. I don't know, but I think that is still wishful thinking
It
because,
gives
like you
them
said,
hope, but it's false hope.
yeah, because like you said,
Yeah.
there are many ways that senators can vote these days, right? They can vote by proxy, they can vote by Zoom, right? So
You know, something funny though. The funniest thing this week though, just to give you an idea, was freaking when Nancy Pelosi. People were saying that Nancy Pelosi was gonna take over as president since Trump has COVID. We
right,
were like, oh yeah, what happened? We don't have Mike Pence, or it's just
right.
that just shows you how nasty things are now.
Well, I mean, I think the people who say that are the people that don't understand how politics work, right? And who don't understand the chain of succession, right? So it goes president, vice president, third chain of command is Nancy Pelosi, right? But of course, that would only happen if something were to happen to both the president and vice president, which doesn't seem likely. But of course, like, I do hope that Trump gets well. I mean, I am kind of worried because he's 74 years of age, and let's be honest, he's a little bit on the heavy side, right? So I think he might have some health issues too. But I
No, he
hope,
doesn't. He doesn't have hypertension. He doesn't have diabetes.
right.
Doesn't have a cholesterol problem. He's actually a pretty healthy individual for 74.
Well, I mean, yeah, because he doesn't smoke, he doesn't drink, he doesn't do anything, harmful to his body, except he might eat a little bit too much. But who doesn't, right?
Yep.
In the coming weeks, you will be in Detroit knocking on doors. What have you learned so far from the great state of Michigan? Does it seem like people there are trending towards the Republican side, or do you think they've had enough with Trump, they've had enough with the GOP, and they're ready to switch back to the Democratic Party?
Again, I can't speak for the whole state, only for the pro Republican districts that we're knocking in, or leaning more
Right.
Republican districts that we're knocking in. Things look great out here, really strong.
Okay.
And even judging on the commercials, and like I just saw a commercial today in Michigan, right, for when Trump was like saying, "Hey, let's play like college football. I'm the pro college football president," right? And it's just a lot, really, really good energy, and a lot of really good Biden and like attack ads attacking Biden's record.
Just a question. So you guys are only targeting the Republican districts? Are you going after the independent districts?
Basically it's swing states, swing
Right.
districts. We're
Okay.
still
So
gonna put
you're
them our way, like they're close races.
okay. So you're targeting the swing districts. Okay, Mike. All right, Mike. Thanks for joining us today. I know you got a lot on your plate, but we will be catching up with each other. Let's try to do this once a week, all right? Because we've got a
Yeah,
lot to talk
definitely, yeah.
about. We are a month out from the election, all right? We're almost exactly a month away. It's October 4th. The election is on November 3rd, right? So are literally a month away. And in a month's time, we will know if Trump will get 4 more years or if Biden will finally get his shot to become president.
Well, for like 2 months, and then he might croak, right? But we'll see. He's a transitional candidate.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, there are many people saying that Biden is just a placeholder candidate for Kamala Harris. But let's see, right? All right, Mike, thank you so much for joining us tonight, and we will catch up with you real soon, okay? Thank you, Mike.
Definitely. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching Real Talk with Ronnie. Once again, here on our show, we only engage in real talk, real news, in real time. If you think you'd be the subject of an interesting interview, or if you have a worthy story to tell, then please feel free to reach out to us via one of the listed contact methods. Once again, for all inquiries and bookings, please reach us using one of the methods listed on the screen. We hope you have enjoyed tonight's program. Until next time, please take care, stay safe, and God bless.